Okay, good afternoon. I'm going to read a statement. We've got statements that are being handed out as well, so I'll be reading the same thing there for you. And then we'll open up for some questions as we get done with the statement. So, again, I'm Kevin Torgerson with the Olmsted County Sheriff's Office. At approximately 3:48 a.m. on March 5th, 2019, a 911 call came in to us from a passerby alerting us of the Olmsted County Sheriff's Office Patrol Division to a person lying in the road on 45th Street Southeast between St. Bridget's Road, also known as County Road 20, and Simpson Road, also known as County Road 1, here in Olmsted County. Upon arrival, the patrol deputies met with a passerby who was still on the scene and observed an adult male lying in the road. The person in the road was determined shortly afterwards to have been deceased at the scene. There were no other persons or vehicles in the area when the passerby or deputies arrived on the scene. The victim appears to be an adult Somali male, approximately in his 20s, with multiple gunshot wounds. We have tentatively identified the victim, but are awaiting confirmation from the Minnesota BCA and the Southern Minnesota Regional Medical Examiner's Office. This time we cannot comment further about the injuries of the victim sustained or any cause of death. There are no suspects in custody. The investigation is ongoing, led by the Olmsted County Sheriff's Office, assisted by the Minnesota Bureau of Criminal Apprehension, crime scene team, the Rochester Police Department, and the Southern Minnesota Regional Medical Examiner's Office. The cause of death and the identity will be determined by the medical examiner. Any information will be released once formal identification and family notification has been made. Due to the initial investigation indicating that this was not a random act of violence, we do not believe there is any ongoing concern for public safety. If you believe you have any information that could assist in this investigation, please contact our 24-hour confidential tip line at 507-328-6688. I'll repeat that again, 507-328-6688. Tips will and can remain anonymous. Any questions? Yes.
Is there any indication that these are, or are you certain that these are not self-inflicted gunshot wounds?
I can't determine that at this time.
You know, you made a tentative ID. Do you know, is he from this area?
We believe that he is, yes.
You said it's not a random act of violence.
Right.
Any indication as to why you think that?
Again, the investigation is telling us and is leading us in a way that right now we don't believe that it's very specific as to this victim and whoever did this.
Did you say targeted?
I won't go to that level and say that. It just seems it's very specific as to what this victim and why and how he was killed.
And can you say how many gunshot wounds?
I can't at this time. Still under investigation.
Are they completed the physical autopsy? Do they know how long he might have been there or how long he was
No,
dead?
yeah, we don't have any of that information. In fact, the autopsy is I guess we could say is wrapping up here very shortly. So we won't know that information at the earliest by tomorrow, I would think, with some of the basic stuff that information they can give us.
What prompted you to go ahead and call the BCA as soon as possible?
It was clear right off the bat that it was a pretty significant trauma at the scene. When we have that kind of trauma, that kind of injury, and the uniqueness in a sense of where he was and what was going on, we needed additional assistance. And the BCA has always been very, very great to our office and responded as quickly as they could to help out.
Does it appear? Go ahead.
Did he have some sort of ID on him and that's how you were able to ID him? Or did a family member call in and saying so-and-so's missing, this is what he looks like? Or?
That's still part of the investigation. I don't want to exactly say what we've done to help, because again, we're we're not completely certain that the person we believe it is that person yet. We have to wait until the medical examiner can identify that for us.
Does it appear that where the body was found is the scene of the crime, or does it maybe seem like it happened somewhere else?
Again, the investigation will determine that. Was, you know, a decent amount of information and evidence at the scene that the BCA was working with, and we'll let them sort that out through the technology that they can bring to the scene and what they can do with the expertise that they have.
Did the person live near where the body was found?
I'm not sure that we've determined exactly where he lives.
For both you guys and the BCA, was weather a factor? If the same kind of thing had happened in the middle of the summer, what kind of factors?
I don't think it would have made any difference.
Okay.
You know, it was difficult the way it was with being so cold. But yeah, I don't think it made any difference.
What are the next steps in the investigation? Kind of what processes are?
Well, the next steps, good question. Next steps, we'll wait for the autopsy results to be done. There will be some preliminary information that they'll give us. Hopefully a positive and 100% identification of that is really important to us. It's important to the family, and you know, a lot of things that we can do after we learn that. So if there's preliminary information comes out of the autopsy, allows us to go further. Then all the other autopsy information that comes out, toxicology, and you know the routine. And then it's really the hard work that our investigators will have. And again, we ask the community to help us out. If they, once we have a confirmation of who this person is, if they know this person, if they know people that were friends or family or co-workers, whatever, you know, we'd be real happy to talk to anybody we can. And the BCA has offered extra help with that, along with our investigators. Rochester Police Department has also offered extra assistance to help with this. So we'll see where all that leads us. But that's the next big steps right now, is preliminary information, final autopsy results, and then just once the identification is made, that really helps us narrow down where we have to go and who do we talk to and things like that.
When do you expect you'll be able to release the ID later this week, maybe?
I'm hoping, you know, it's really on the autopsy didn't start as early as we thought it would this morning. So I guess right now, I think the earliest we could have something is for you tomorrow morning at our normal briefing. We'll just go with that, and I don't think there's anything we can just try to do to say we'll do something later, because we really aren't in control of that. It's the medical examiner's office at this point.
Is this being investigated as a homicide?
At this point in time, it's still a suspicious death, but you know, again, we don't determine if it's a homicide or suicide or whatever. That's the medical examiner's job. So it's still a suspicious death, clearly suspicious with the injuries that the individual sustained, but medical examiners make that call, not us.
Maybe a stupid question, but would you be confident to say that a crime has occurred in this death?
It's very likely. I'm not going to confirm anything at this point, again, because it's really important that we wait for those results to be determined and scientifically proven, basically, is what we're waiting for. So we don't want to make any mistakes in that regard.
And this is the first homicide in Olmsted County
This year, yeah, it is.
Is the body being examined in Rochester?
Yeah, the Mayo Clinic is actually the host of the Southern Minnesota Regional Medical Examiner's Office. So they have contracts, my understanding, with numerous counties around the area. They do the same work for us. So, no.
As far as you know, you haven't had any report or like somebody calling saying, my son didn't come home or my husband didn't come home, or?
We did have a couple of those yesterday, and I'm not right now, because that's part of the investigation, able to say that we were able to confirm or deny any of that at this time. But I do believe we did have a couple of those calls yesterday.
Do you know if this individual is known to law enforcement?
Again, that's part of the investigation. We'll you know, release whatever we can once we have a full identification. So, okay, thank you.